Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, light warriors, old souls, evolving beings. Can you believe this is the last time I'm going to say this in the year of 2024? First of all, I just want to thank everybody who has subscribed, who has listened through the years. And this year was fun. On YouTube, we had over 30,000 views, which I know there are really huge, large groups out there, and I only have a small following, but I'm so grateful to each and every one of you. And you're always welcome to take an extra second to like, to comment, to subscribe, and definitely share my messages because so many of them are timeless. And I very carefully put them together in order, seeing the years ahead what was going to happen. And they're a tool for you to share with others who are just starting to wake up. Because believe it or not, there are still those who are in the beginning stages of their awakening. Now, this message that I'm going to share with you, I don't know how it's going to come out because I have pages and pages of notes. The last 10 days have been unbelievably intense in the astral and energetic fields. And it took me a while to even put together the clues, which some of them are so funny. I'll share them with you, and the drops and the signs and the synchronicities, because to be honest with you, I've been working so hard in dream state and overnight state, finishing things for the collective, like all of you are. It just happens to be that sometimes I'm more tuned into it because I do it on a daily basis. But all of you are capable of this, and all of you are part of this. You just may not remember your dreams. You may not remember where you go in your astral. But again, for those of you who are feeling really tired and worn out, there are a lot of reasons. But the most important thing is there is so much to be hopeful for. And 2025 is going to be quite the year. So it really is about, as I say on the title, going from cataclysm to celebration in a year of completion. So, as you know, I'm totally into symbols, and I was a Jungian psychologist. And I worked for the Jung Foundation years ago in New York City. So, symbols have always been my thing, numbers have always been my thing, sacred geometry, dreams, drawings. If you go back and listen when I worked with kids with cancer, and also still to this day, when I do healings, I look at people's drawings, I listen to their dreams, and all of those tell me what's going on in the conscious mind and in your unconscious, as well as our collective conscious. And this is the lifetime in which we have decided collectively to make a move. And that move is ascension. It's also Mother Earth, who is moving through her ascension. And it's also our timing, the 25,600 year mark. So all of those combined move us into 2025, which equals the number 9. Again, my old listeners know, but for those who are new, and I do have a lot of new people, you just take the 2 plus the 2, which equals 4, and then you add the 5. So 4 plus 5 is 9. That's 2025. And you'll notice if you go back and listen to my old messages that we were in the year of sevens 2 years ago. Sevens being symbolic of the opening of Christ consciousness, the opening of understanding. 8 was the year of infinity this year. I've already written the year off. 8, infinity, meaning not just coming in and working through our dark night of the soul, but also going with the flow, being able to expand out and then pull back in, expand out and pull back in, always going into our heart center. because in the end, the message is always about pulling in resources, but going within, dropping from your head back down into your heart. Because it's only when we go within to resonate, to understand, to use our discernment, that we are able to fulfill, in a sense, the Trinity. Now, we have still been bamboozled by religion because dogma has been distorted. But the more we are all strong in not looking outside for the answers, but understanding we are the masters of our own destiny, we are co creators, we are God's source, the more we are able to pull that into ourselves, the further we move along. But collectively, we really have done that. So, one of the things that has been so hard for us this year, and it's where I think last year in January, I was like, did life come in all of a sudden? You were in your happy little bubble and you got hit like a wrecking ball. And now I'm laughing because that term keeps getting picked up in reference to this, not the song. Because with AI, what's happening is there is also a collective use of many of our works without giving credit to where the information came from. And I have a hysterical download, which I can't figure out how to move it from audio onto here to show you. But AI had a brilliant conversation about Doc Starseed's podcasts. I mean, it was really good. But of course, they just kept saying they. So what's happening is I am very curious, of course, as a ghostwriter and a writer who is a stickler, like I'm talking stickler for not plagiarizing, how this is all going to play out. I apologize. I digressed. All right. So my point being is, though, with the whole fact of the collective, there are wonderful things that happen because we are operating as a collective. And I've made this clear when I've talked about the 100th monkey effect and how once it was one monkey who started digging for a potato. And when that monkey learned how to do it, unconsciously, it sent that information to another monkey in a totally different continent, and they all knew how to do it. And this is what we've been doing really actively for the past few years. Really starting in 2015 strongly, a whole bunch of light workers and starseeds started to wake up even more. That's where, although I had known so much because of dreams and information and downloads, it was the first time that I was able to see how many other people actually got this. And a book was literally just appeared in front of me one day in a bookshelf that I was just nudged to go look at in a hotel. And that book was just phenomenal in reopening everything up. And once we came to 2017, 2018, and even the collective Q movement and the digital warriors, more and more people started to show up and to share. And overall, the internet has been the most phenomenal thing because we have been able to get information quickly and to learn quickly. And the more that we resolve issues as a collective, the more we move forward into this unity, into collective unconditional love. And I talk about all these things in my previous videos. But in this time, as we hit the first 3 to 4 months of 2025, there will be a form of cataclysmic events. Now, there will be no nuclear war. I've already discussed this. It's done. It's over with. Even as far as the events, I know that many are still talking about everything being shut down for many days, all of these other things. That is not the type of cataclysm I saw. And it is not the type of like huge take a portion of the world, explode it, or have an earthquake so large that another chunk of our planet disappears. That happened in Earth's life cycle already. We are only a small portion. The Earth is only a small portion of the size that it used to be. So none of those things are going to happen. But to a person whose entire world falls apart because, let's say, a certain individual is elected, or their entire world, the masks, quote, come off, to them, it is a cataclysm. To them, their entire world did fall apart. Now, the good news is that most of us listening here have already been through all of that, and we're so tired of it. We're like so past it. Because of that, there was a splitting that had to take place. There was a splitting of people being given a chance over and over and over again. Do you choose to live in the 3D world? Do you choose to live by the laws of the Matrix, 3D? Do you choose to be told how to live your life? Are you living your life from your ego mind? Are you defined by money? Are you defined by material? Are you defined by matter? And again, money is not the issue. It's the use of it. It's the love of it. It's the abuse of it. So people were tried over and over and over. And just take what happened in 2019. I'm not even going to say the words because that's how I got my first warning. But that was a choice point for people. They either just fell in because they thought they were doing the right thing, or they stepped back and maybe they still did it anyways because they couldn't have gotten together with family members or whatever rationalization they used. And then there were those who were like, woke up and said, absolutely no way under any circumstances am I going to do this. And so that movement alone created us breaking off, in a sense, into these areas of where it is, how we want to move forward. And from what I was shown, I was re-shown the 3 suns that I've already seen. And I've posted the best that I could because the brightness was so strong, I couldn't get a great picture. But I was shown again the 3 major ways in the moves that are going to happen in 2025. And then they attempted to explain to me how this fit into the quantum field with the 369 theory, Tesla, and other information. And now this is where it's going to get a little bit tricky. So I'm going to try to make my way through it. I'm going to look at my notes and I'm going to talk at the same time. I was never trained officially in, let's say, medical terminology. I'm not a physicist. I'm not that type of scientist. So while I know healing frequencies very well, while I know sacred geometry very well, I don't know the technicalities of, let's say, who created it, what their research was. So, of course, I know Tesla and I know basic ideas, but it took a period of these 10 days to really clarify and show me signs and information so that I could try to bring it to you and explain it to you, to show how we really are finishing this cataclysm for those who choose, but there really are the splitting of 3 groups. So, as I have said, and I will continue to stand by, there are already other Earths that are created that will remain 3D, because people absolutely who have chosen to take a certain route, which is their right, will be moved to those 3D worlds. Okay. And they will get to continue to play all these games and go through the trauma and go through all the issues that, thank goodness, if you're coming on my line, we won't be doing it all, because we've already, in a sense, graduated. And I was actually shown the graduation quite a few times over the last 10 days, which is so fun. So those souls who either came with their life contract to continue to create negativity and play out that role in their fullness and become the power hungry beings that they want to be and play that role will be just headed over to the 3D Earth. And I know it's so hard for people to understand, but again, we're an avatar here. We're in a shell. Our souls are endless. So we get to play these roles however we want, except for the fact that this is a collective completion that's happening. So we had to wait for the collective group to all be up and ready to do this together. And it had to be our collective wish to bring in peace and unity and integrity and to overcome all of these lies about our birth certificates, about maritime law. I mean, you name it, false flags everywhere. And this is why I do want to take just a special second to thank our worldwide military, our Space Force, and completely honor all of those that we have lost in this process. We could not have made it here if they had not been doing the hard work behind us. So in the new year of 2025, in the first few months, if it is brought to light and exposed of how the evil entities and beings were removed from this planet, I want you to take a really deep breath. And I want you to be very careful about what you watch, because there are certain things that you see that you cannot unsee. Even some of our military had to go through and see things they should have never had to. And some are trained for it. But your soul feels that impact. So even the strongest who fight through, and it is their job, they do it, they do things we never could have been impacted. So we have trauma that is attached to our collective. And this is what we have been going through the last few months, and that we're trying to finish up. And even though it's going to go on for a little while longer, there is a completion to our collective wounds. So for all of those who did experience and see things, unspeakable things, and who died in the process, their souls who did it for the light, for the well-being, their souls are protected, taken care of, and they're retrained, renourished, and reloved. So they become whole upon their deaths. So I don't want you to wander around day by day or moment by moment hanging on to those losses in that way. Be proud of them for what they achieved, even if it turns out that they may have taken their own lives. It's okay. They are protected. Now, I'm always encouraging you, especially now, no matter how down you get, please go and listen to my video on Suicide is Not the Answer. I know holidays can be tough, year endings can be tough, but it explains how the soul trap has been removed and why anything you can do to hang on, hang on, hang on. because we truly do have beautiful things coming forward. So, in the splitting of the earths, like I said, the whole one set will go to the other 3D earths. Now, we have what I'm going to call and break into two more groups. Those whose frequency is higher, like you're awakened, you're working on it, but you may not have been able to actually wake up to how controlled you have been. You may not have been able to break off that trauma. You may not have been taken the time, let's say, to really manifest because you're too busy in the day-to-day moments. And I completely get it. Like I always say, life is not hard. But there is so much hope because every time you work on that frequency and to choose a higher vibration or to choose love and forgiveness over all the other pieces, you are automatically being lifted by the collective. This is the reason why I have said, and very carefully, and there's a couple words I'm not going to use because, again, I don't want to get targeted. But if you take any type of abuse, physical, emotional, blank, psychic, any of those types of abuses, in the old days when I was a therapist, it took years to work through that, but it no longer does. Our ancestral trauma cycle has been broken. You have no idea how important this is and what it means. This is truly astronomical. It means hundreds and thousands of years of the abuse that our ancestors took, whether they were Native Americans or Aborigines or whomever, whenever. We're our neighbor next door now who came from a line of alcoholics or other type of trauma. You can release those and almost instantly, but you have to believe that you can. You have to know in your heart that you can, and you have to be willing to let go of this happened to me. And you cannot define yourself by that trauma. Because if you define yourself by an illness or a trauma, you will stay stuck in it. So in that second group of people, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. They need to understand how we were impacted monetarily in our financial world, letting go of governments, letting go of ruling, and letting go of certain parts of religion, and letting go of so many things. And that's probably where the bulk of people are right now. And that's where there's going to be triggers, probably March, April, coming up in 2025, where once again you hit that wall and you're like, wow, I thought I already made it through the dark night of the soul. Why the heck am I doing this again? Or you may start to come upon people who it's happening to them, and you will start to really learn and see that, wow, you have probably progressed way more than you realize it. And many, many times, I am told specifically to relax. You know my words, let it go. Because I take things way too seriously. I care way too much. And it is that infinity flow that we all need to work on, right? But I was shown how beautifully in like from June till September, there is truly celebration. Like something finally bursts so much that we are living the lives we really deserve and came to live. And this is where all the plasma stuff was explained to me. So it started by You know what? I'm going to take just a quick sip of water. Pardon me. It started by one day around the time when everybody was talking about all the drones and everything. And I was explaining that a lot of this is plasma orbs. And I had seen an actual orb probably the year before that I spoke about. But I was looking out into the sun, and again, this is not medical advice. You need to do this, you take responsibility for it. The sun literally had all these lines of energy going through, very much like the first picture on the screen with the word splitting underneath it. And the electrical lines that were going through it were so significant. I tried to get a picture, but of course, all that came out was light. That's plasma. Now, remember, we are bioenergetic beings. We are changing from 666 carbon into crystalline. So our light bodies have been integrating little by little over the last few years. Increasingly over the last few years. It's been happening. So what's happening in the universe, we are having happen with our physical bodies. So plasma is very toroidal. It's like what we have going around our energetic body that is expanding. And when plasma hits like a magnetic field, it's like a ball of lightning. Now, those little magnetic bubbles, magnetospheres, whatever you want to call them, here is the really cool stuff that I was totally missing, that was explained to me, which is why I couldn't wait to share this with you. All of those little energetic orbs, they're not just there watching us and gathering information. They're literally dissolving the negativity. They are disintegrating, literally, the pieces that no longer serve us. And do you know how they do that? Which I had no idea. They had to give me like these little clues and like go search here and go search there. And now I'm going to have to look at my little graph here. So on the inside of one of these little plasma things, and to all you scientists out there, please forgive me. It's a way for me to explain something. I know I don't have all the facts right. So don't come back to me and tell me what I did wrong, but you can certainly come back to me and explain to me where I could go to find out more. But right in the middle, there's this like internal gas pressure, right? And what happens is, as it expands, it hits the magnetic pressure of the field. You've heard the term the field. And it reacts, okay? This is what's happening with the sunspots, with the geomagnetic storms, right? Everybody knows this is going up and up and up and up. And even though some days the human doesn't show it, pardon me, and other pieces don't show it, I'm feeling it every day, 24 hours a day. And I know others are too. But it's this reaction against the magnetic field that, guess what happens? It's not only an interaction between the two, it's a reflection of one against the other. And the amazing thing about this reflecting one against the other, is that eventually the light can dissolve the dark. What are we doing as a collective? Those of us strong star seeds, those of us light workers, what are we doing? We are dissolving those wounds for others. Why now, of all times, are we breaking the ancestral trauma cycle, the collective wounds? Why? Because we collectively have so much power now. And every time one of you opens up or wakes up a little bit or just doesn't turn off the message and actually tries to understand, even if you can't understand half of the words that I'm saying, your soul is going to resonate with this information, which all of a sudden helps all of us. This is why infighting just is so destructive, because it slows us all down. It is better to shut your mouth, not say anything, than go against the groups and fight. It is where peace and unconditional love, forgiveness, all of these things help us gather like a storm. And what happens? All of a sudden, there's so much electricity, you need a lightning bolt. We are the lightning bolts. The earth is going through this. And as that happens, it literally dissolves the negativity. Now, I'm going to talk to those people who understand these terms. This is more advanced. But we have so much to rejoice because we have 100% on the 3D level dismantled the archons. They can only exist now in the astral 4D. And those that were really negative entities, like I said, so many of them have been removed since 2019, 2020, from before, which is why everything that you're going to see play out in the new year is just, it's just a movie. Although there are still some being removed, many more removed. I'm talking about the negative souls, the beings that had to be completely, the people, the negative people who needed to be removed. Their souls are being taken care of separately. So they can no longer control or feed into our positive collective because the archons are dissolved. So every time you see this activity in the skies, you should be rejoicing. Do I think some of it is man-made and some of it has some deeper, darker pieces? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because, again, what I say is anything that points us to the skies, anything that opens us up to our galactic being, anything that helps us heal and dissolve the old is a good and wonderful thing. Because the whole point is to to have toroidal autonomy. That means that our being is so strong, our toroidal field is so much more expansive that we literally create our own universes in freedom, in love, in fun. And that's what gives us cause to celebrate, because we really have come through and done that. And therefore, it means that, in a sense, and again, I'm not giving power away when I say this, but our co-creators, our Mother Earth, all of that have given us the full go-ahead that we get to complete this old cycle, that we have graduated. Now, just like in a human graduation, when you, let's say, graduate from high school or graduate from, it doesn't matter what, it could be a tech school, it could be anything. Great, you have this piece of paper and you're like, okay, now what am I going to do? There's still growing pains, right? Life is all about that. So yes, are we still going to feel things in the new year in 2025? Of course we are, because we all grow. That's why we're here. But when you remove the amount of pain and time it takes to grow, it makes life so much easier. So much easier. I would never wish on my worst enemy to have gone through some of the psychology issues, in the sense of how education completely lied to people. I would not want people to have to go through the cancer treatments that I have seen in my patients, all of that. We are moving into understanding that medicine, that all healing is frequency. It has nothing to do with these biolab generated, created things that actually, in the end, make you ill. We are learning that we are self healing. And each time I did one video, I think maybe why medicines are counterproductive, I don't know. But it literally explained how, if one of us is healing our thyroid, we can heal it generally as a collective. So every time we make those changes, they are all moving us forward. So the key piece is, just as you see those orbs or those pictures, what is happening is there is dissolving of the energy, completely removing it, which leaves one thing only: a healed being. This is happening with every little seedling on our planet, the water, the air. So no matter, do not get frustrated by what you see in the skies. Do not convince yourself nothing is happening. Do not even say those words. So much has transpired. It is here. It is here now. And we are going to get to see it. But you will find when you move into that other third choice, one of number 9, vibration and completion, the top of the triangle, again, there's no negativity there. It's a symbol. Your soul has already been approved and agreed to and contracted and moved into not really having to see any of that at all. Because you're going to be so focused on the new things that you're working on, how to regrow humanity, how to be unconditionally loving, how to show people how to respond and react without aggression, without anger, without hurt, without all our guilt, unresolved issues, that you've already made it to that level. And that level is, of course, the one that sets you up the easiest for, in a sense, perhaps the day, should it happen, 2027 to 2030, whatever it may be, where there is more of what may feel like a flash. You're just here in one world existence and then you're in the next. Now, if you set your heart right, if you choose that you want to know more, if you are working your way towards, your success is 100% guaranteed. It's just, how difficult do you want to make it on yourself along the way? So we self-impose our own traumas by thinking and defining that life has to be a certain way for me and it has to be a certain way from you. But once you remove all those illusions, everybody's free to flow. And you decide if you want to be in that flow or absolutely want nothing to do with it. And the more you want nothing to do with it and don't focus on it, it just disappears. It dissolves. Just like the plasma I was shown. So, just looking at my notes here, when I get messages, what happens is it comes to me in different ways. Sometimes they're actually words, like just straight out words, clear as day. Nobody's around, clear as day. Right now, the most amazing thing as we open up the fields, oh my goodness, is they're singing. they're singing. It actually freaked me out one night. It was hysterical because I'm in a place on my own, and all of a sudden there's just singing and music, and like I literally ran around the whole place to find out where I left the radio on, like not thinking that of course we're opening up all these vibrations, and vibrations could include music. Oh, so the first night, of course, when I heard that, I was like, "What the heck?" And then as I like started to realize, I was like, "Oh, wait a minute. This is celestial music. This isn't like music that's coming out of a radio." So it's been happening a lot every day. So just in case you hear music out of the blue, don't think that you're going crazy. You're not going crazy. If you hear a voice, no, you're not delusional. Go back and listen to those videos, because I talk about it just to try to help you, help you understand what's going on. So in this next group, this next timing, as we see these changes and some real big systems get broken down, because of course, what does cataclysm mean? I looked it up in the dictionary just to see if I was missing anything. It's upheaval that causes great destruction or brings about fundamental change. And we are all so ready for that. I just can't even begin to tell you. Which is why, once again, I always joke at the end of every year, I'm like so frigging happy the year is over. I'm happy for everything that I learned, but I would never want to repeat again many of the things that I've been through. So I always look forward to the coming in. But at the same time, there is an incredible amount of peace because you do learn to go with the flow and you do learn to appreciate what you have in the now moment. And it could be nothing other than looking out at the trees, at the cows, whatever it may be. I had a beautiful, beautiful sun picture that I was able to get. There's too many pictures I posted today. But it was a diamond sun. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So many good things are happening. Now, for that collective trauma, I have a couple of ideas of some things I can do to help. This message is going on way too long, but just know that it's happening to you. And if you're really stuck in the old way of moving through trauma, I just want you to open your heart because there are easier ways now. And we want to get you to the point that you're feeling better 24/7 and that you've worked through your dark stuff and that you can come join us on the other side, on the fun side, on a side where we can really interact and be love to each other, not all this other stuff that we've been through. Now, the last part here, just checking my notes, sorry about that. Oh, I did mean to say, and I think I said it, is that understand that if you're, a starseed, a light worker, you have come here and you've probably had all of those abuses and more than most people. And the whole point was a learning lesson to be able to overcome and to really step up and move through the pieces, as well as not only resolve our own issues, but also go back through the ancestors' issues and finish these bloodlines, finish this ancestral ties, break the bonds, and bring in just unbelievable resolution, completion, the number 9, love, all of those pieces. Because it's all coming. And we're the ones who have done this. You need to pat yourself on the back anytime you start to doubt yourself, anytime you think this hasn't been worth it, Anytime you think nothing is happening, pat yourself on the back because we have come through so much more than what you can see. And you will see justice, divine justice. Not talking just legal justice, although when we change back into the appropriate laws, the hierarchies, not in a negative sense, you will find all of those things, justice, divine justice, will come to us. And as a last piece, the other way, of course, since I'm a dreamer, I dream 3 to 6 cycles a night. And in those dreams, of course, I'm reworking. It's like a form of time travel, reconnecting fields, breaking up grids, bringing down new grids, all of those things. But again, as I said, hugely in November, our new grids were really, really anchored in. So you as a collective get to enjoy all of that. But I was getting frustrated in my dream, and I'm going to be honest, I'm tired. I've been working so hard overnight all these last 10 days. I'm tired. I'm antsy. I'm edgy, which is unusual for me. And so I kind of just said it. I was just like, I'm tired. When is this going to end? And all of a sudden, I got a beautiful picture in my mind of a plant called a bird of paradise. When I used to go to Mexico, it's one of my favorite plants. It's pictured down here next to the Doc Starseed logo. I mean, it really looks like a bird. They're unbelievable. To me, they are. It's just crazy. Nature is so phenomenal. So I was shown this just beautiful bird of paradise and told to really reflect on it and remember it. And so it didn't dawn on me, the words, okay? All I could do is keep picturing this flower. And just like, it's so funny because when you're the person who has the dream, a lot of times you have no idea what the dream means. But you tell a dream to someone else and they can see right through it. And that's kind of what happened to me hours later as I was prepping to get this ready and just checking some research and trying to understand plasma a little bit more and what they were saying. I was like, bird of paradise. And it was like, yes. And then I did hear the words. Oh, now I'll get choked up. You do realize that you, my children, are the birds, and you are walking into paradise. And that is my message for 2025. I love you all.